The Skyline GTR, an iconic car of almost mythical status, known only to the few for its power, its speed, and its handling. It's a racer disguised as a roadster, burning up the track at over 300 kilometers per hour. It's the ultimate bad boys car. The star of movies, games, and manga comics. Business idol Carlos Ghosn, the charismatic Nissan boss, is determined that the GTR will be born again, better than ever, designed afresh, filled with groundbreaking technology, and sold to the public. But how will the world react to this new muscle car? Can it beat the all-time sports car classic, the Porsche 911 Turbo? And will Ghosn himself even survive the supercar? Friday, midnight. Japan's back streets. The asphalt belongs to the GTR, the Gran Turismo racer. This is Japan's ultimate muscle car. And the race boys are out, reclaiming the night, tearing up the neighborhood, pushing the speed limit, avoiding the cops. There are nights like this wherever there are open roads and GTRs. There's a secret world centered around this car. It's a classic and a cult, and those in the know worship the GTR and its power to ravage the road. Nissan stopped making the Skyline GTR some years ago, and of course, its rarity just adds to its charisma. The GTR has been the jewel in Nissan's crown since it first appeared. It's known as a supercar, a high-performance road car with a top speed of more than 300 kilometers per hour.
You need something, a highlight to a lineup, something that really stands out, a great sports car. Every manufacturer needs one, and the GTR is, I think, Japan's greatest car.
When the race boys pull up at the Daikoku car park, it's clear that although they're pretty fast, they're not really that furious. This is a chance for them all to admire each other's wheels and generally see what they can do to whip that little bit extra out of their beasts.
The guys that bought these cars knew what it was capable of, so they immediately pumped it up to 400, 600 horsepower. Some even took it up to 800 horsepower. The chassis is so good in this car that it will take that sort of stress. That's what Nissan developed back in 1989. A road-going car that is based on a race car. And nobody had ever done this before.
The first GTRs were race cars, blasting around tracks and showing the opposition just who was boss. 20 years later, the third generation Skyline GTR was packed with new technologies designed to prove that Nissan's engineering was second to none, including that of their arch rival, Porsche. It was all-wheel drive and all-wheel steering, with all the road holding that implies. A microprocessor monitored the car's movements 100 times per second, controlling it around high-speed corners. And the thing was, this race car was available to the general public to take on the road, but only in Japan initially.
Nissan obviously didn't really understand what they'd created. They almost created a monster.
These guys idolized the GTR, but they've heard that soon a whole new model is coming out. And for the first time, this GTR will not come in sheep's clothing. Obviously, they're concerned when it comes to tampering with a legend. Carlos Ghosn also cares about the GTR heritage. He is determined the new car will be a worthy successor. It should match or beat the benchmark sports car, the iconic Porsche 911 Turbo, one of the quickest production cars you can buy. And as if that's not enough, it should beat the 911 in its own backyard. On one of the toughest road tracks in the world, the Nordschleife of Germany's Nürburgring. The GTR needs to be fast, seriously fast. The challenge? To match or beat the Porsche 911 Turbo at everything. And to do this, it needs a whole new engine. The most powerful production engine Nissan has ever built. Most factories mass produce these parts. But here, each engine is carefully crafted by one of 8 specially selected technicians. This V6 480 horsepower engine is capable of rocketing the car from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.5 seconds. Its rival, the Porsche, has similar specs. 6 cylinders, twin turbo, same horsepower. The challenge is to build a car that is not only supercar fast, but has a cheaper price tag and can outhandle its rival. Balance and weight distribution are crucial. The GTR's engine sits behind the front axle, and the gearbox is rear-mounted. 2 lightweight drive shafts distribute the power to 4 wheels, a unique all-wheel drive system which the engineers believe will help produce one of the fastest production cars in the world.